Today we're going to be talking about 5 self-tape mistakes that is going to keep you from booking an audition. If you're new to self-tapes, then this is going to be great information for you. If you've been sending in self-tapes and wondering why you're not getting booked, then this is going to help you out too. So without further ado, let's get into it. Mistake number 1, that is the epic of epic fails, is poor lighting. It is horrendous. As somebody who's constantly casting people in my films, I'm a director, producer, writer, right? When I get a self-tape and I can't even see you, it's just like, yeah, what do you want me to do for this? I can't see your facial expressions. I can't understand your emotions. And for me, it just screams amateur. There's a difference between green and just starting off and amateur. Green, just starting off, all right, I'm going to watch it through. Maybe there's some things that I can help. I can coach you up. Amateur, nah, that tells me you're not ready. How you turn in your self-tape is also a representation of how you're going to show up on set. So it's important to me that when I'm putting people in the position to be in one of my films, and other major casting directors think the same thing too, because you're a representation of them and their choices, that I know that you're going to show up to set on a professional level. And part of that is how you show up to set in your self-tape. So if you have poor lighting, let's give it an example. Let's see. There's a huge difference between this, right here, this, and this. See how drastic of a difference is? How you can clearly see me now. You can see my facial expressions, all of those things. So poor lighting. So, all right, help me out here, right? That's what you're saying. Like, help me out. How do I fix that? So there's a couple ways you could fix that by, like, quick and easy, right? Well, one, having decent camera quality is going to help you out, and we're going to get into that in a second. But just getting a basic ring light, put the camera in the center of the ring light or just off to the side of the ring light, and it'll be on your face, especially if you're sitting down like this in a controlled, really environment, then that's going to help a ton. You can get LED lights, right? Boom, put them at 45-degree angle here, 45-degree angle here, stand up off the background. Do not be close to the background, because what that does is it gives a shadow. Be off the background, and that's going to give you that depth you need behind you. That's going to be fine, and that's going to get the job done. And I made an entire video about this in my Amazon Essentials, so please be sure to check out that video. It's like literally everything that you need to get started as an actor, or even step your game up as an actor in this career path, or a content creator, director. You can also just check the link in the description below. Everything that I'm talking about here is something that you can get. But ring light, LED light, let's just get some nice clean lighting. Okay, the next epic fail, and I don't know which is worse, the lighting or like this. It might be a tie. Poor audio quality. Like, we should not be hearing any of that. You hear that? Like, none of that should be happening. Don't be outside. We're gonna hear the wind or people walking by. Like, no, that's not what we want. We don't want to hear the dog. We don't want to hear the kids in the background, or your roommate, or music booming in the back. Like, no, if you can't get it in a quiet environment, then that's epic fail. It doesn't take a whole lot to get clean audio. Nowadays, if you have within the last 2 or 3 versions of an iPhone, same thing, 2 or 3 versions of a Samsung Galaxy, just the built-in audio on that is going to be good enough. Now, what I suggest you get is get some type of boom shotgun mic that you could attach to either your iPhone or the camera, right, that you're using to film your self-tape. Invest in yourself if this is a career path that you want. But I'm always about working with what you got. If you have an iPhone or a solid Android, then chances are you'll be good to go when it comes to audio quality. You can also get lavalier mics. Currently, I have a wireless lavalier on. It's dipped a little bit lower right now. But I use that all the time. You could use you can get the wired mic to just tuck it so it's a little bit less clunky than the system I have. Again, all of this is in my Amazon Essentials in the description, and check out the video. But you need clean audio so I can hear what you're saying, because part of acting is your voice. So if your voice isn't clear, then I'm not going to understand your emotions, your tones, your inflections. Especially like, what if you're doing an accent or something like wow like that? Like, yeah, I want to hear that. I want to hear that. I want to hear how you're enunciating every single word and how you're giving that to the character. So just get some good, clean audio. Our next epic freaking fail. Technically, if I was doing a self-tape, what I got behind me would be a great representation of what not to do. Do not do this. Distracting background. No. I don't want to be looking like, yo, is that Scandal on the back? Like, ooh, oh, that's we're living single because we are living single. I don't want to be distracted. I want to be focused on your performance. So a key element of that is just making sure that you have a nice, clean, professional background. So what does that look like? The basics of basics is just shooting on a white wall. You got good lighting and a white wall, boom, in that thing. Work with what you got. Mainly everybody has a white wall or an off-white wall in their house or somebody's house that they could shoot in front of. Do that. If you want to step it up, like I said, I go over this in my Amazon Essentials. It's in the description below. But you can do a blue green screen. Like you can do blue is great for just a background, or green behind you. People do that all the time. It's just so I can focus on your performance and not on whatever is behind you. You can get photocopy or photo print paper. You can get that off of Amazon as well. And you can choose a color that you want. If you want to do something, if you're more of a bubbly personality, it's a bubbly thing, you can do yellow. Like, that's not bad. It is a little bit extra, but maybe it shows your personality. You can get away with that. White is always good. Black is always good. Blue is always good. Clean background. If you have a busy background, or you're just like, I don't know, sometimes people are just kind of like sitting in a room and I can just see all the junk behind them or whatever. Like, no. Get some place where I can focus on you. It's called a self-tape, not a background tape. That part. You know, yeah, I tried it. Okay, now this one right here goes back to preschool, right? But it's crazy how many grown adults go wrong when it comes to this. But they really taught us in preschool. Follow instructions. If the teacher told you to do the assignment, then put your name at the top left corner, right? And then let's say put your classroom number at the top right. Then you turned it in and your name was at the bottom left and the classroom was at the top left. The teacher is going to tell you to go back to your seat, right? And then redo it because you didn't follow instructions. That part, that's the problem with most people in self-tapes. They are not following instructions. There's usually some clear instructions how they want you to slate. Pay attention. Do they want some specific details? Like, is it just your name, your height, and where you're from? Is it your name, height, character name, where you're from, union status? Are you vaccinated, non-vaccinated? Whatever that is, right? Do they want all that in it? Are you willing to travel? Pay attention with the slate. Is it full body or is it basic slate? Pay attention to what they want. Do they want you to skip certain lines in the scenes? Do they want you to do multiple scenes? Do they want you to send in a self-tape for each scene separately or smash them all together? Pay attention, because if I'm sitting there and sometimes we're looking at like hundreds of submissions and then I get somebody who's not following the instructions, it is a definite turnoff. Now me, I'm nice and I'm probably going to try to push past it and see the performance. But when I tell you these casting directors are not, as soon as they see you didn't pay attention, you're boop. Because what that says to them is that when you get on set, I'm going to have to babysit you. Or you may or may not follow instructions. Or you're going to make me as a casting director look bad on set. And that's the last thing they want, because their name is on the line, because they are being hired and paid to do a job too. That part. since me and my producers are usually the one who are casting my films, what that tells me is, yeah, I'm going to have to babysit this person. I do not want to deal with this. This is going to be extra. I don't have time for it. So I would rather work with somebody else. And it's sucky, but it's the truth. Sometimes it'll be somebody who's less good as you, but they followed instructions and can do the simple things and they're coachable. So we'll bring that person on before we bring you on because you just aren't following simple instructions. So let's start doing that. Let's start paying attention to the details, dotting our I's and crossing our T's. And 90% of success is showing up, right? When you show up, it's not just showing up, it's also being prepared for that opportunity. The fail of fails is lack of preparation, right? Lack of preparation for these self-tapes. What does that look like? What do you mean? Not being off book automatically tells me you're not ready, especially to lead. Man, I don't have time for that. If I sent you over 2 scenes and you can't memorize 2 scenes and we got 80 to 90 pages of a film and you're in 80% of that, I have no trust that you're going to do well in this role. So I'm not even going to waste my time if you're doing a self-tape and you're doing this in a self-tape. No, that shows me that we didn't prepare. The shorter the scene is, the even worse that is. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like a half a page. We can't memorize a half a page. That's it. You don't care enough about it. I get it. Sometimes you guys got like 10 self-tapes you're doing in a day. Very few people, when I say very few people, I've probably seen 1 or 2 people who cannot be off book and give a great performance. And these are pros though. These are the people that I know right now are booking shows on ABC. What else? Obviously like the BETs, but they're like starring or they're co-starring in shows. I'm not talking to you. I am talking to the people, right, who are more than likely just starting off or just booked a couple roles, right, and still have to show up in audition. A lot of those times, those people don't even show up in audition. They're just getting a chemistry. So when you're at that point and maybe you have 10 things going on and you can still give a great performance, great. But if you're not at that point, you should be off book every single time. Understanding the character. If it's a show that you're sending a self-tape in that's already out, do yourself a favor and the people who are watching the self-tape and actually watch the show. Because maybe there's a name that's funky, that's enunciated a certain way in the show. If you just watch the show, you would have got that. And that lets the person who's watching like, oh, they pay attention. They're tapped in. They understand this. Character background. Is the show on? Can you kind of figure out why they're interacting with certain characters and how your character shows up and adds something into the mix? Like, for sure, do that. If it's a film, who's the director? Watch that person's work. Do they have a certain style? Tyler Perry's style is totally different than Spike Lee's. For sure. Steven Spielberg's style is totally different than Martin Scorsese. If you did your research, you would know that, and you possibly kind of know what it is that they're looking for when it's time for you to show up for these self-tapes. So preparation is key. Having a method, right? Having an actual method can set you apart. And that's something that we're going to teach here at the Cinema Attic. If you want to head over to our site, we have multiple resources and we're going to be doing an entire boot camp just on self-tapes. So if you need help with self-tapes, maybe you want a consultation, maybe you want some one-on-one help, then comment self-tape in the comments below. Please stop doing these cardinal 5 mistakes, and it's going to set you up so much further to just have a successful career and to start booking jobs. What other tips do you need? Let's get specific. What questions do you have that I can answer for you? I'm here to help you with my experiences and help you take your career to the next level. So that's it. That's what I got for you today. Hit the like button, sub button, bell button. Love ya. Gotta go.